Ladies and gentlemen, success is not a matter of luck. It is not a gift bestowed upon the fortunate few. It is the result of disciplined action, of structured thought, and of habits carefully cultivated over time. You do not stumble into success. You construct it piece by piece through the habits you choose to adopt and the values you choose to uphold. The difference between those who rise and those who remain stagnant is not simply intelligence, talent, or even opportunity. It is the habits they build, the routines they commit to, and the mindset they develop. Every action you take, every choice you make, either moves you closer to success or further away from it. The question is, are you consciously shaping a life that attracts success, or are you passively allowing mediocrity to dictate your path? Tonight, we will explore the winning habits that define those who achieve greatness. Habits rooted in discipline, responsibility, and the relentless pursuit of excellence. Because if you can master these, success does not become a distant dream, it becomes an inevitability. Let's begin. Taking responsibility for everything in your life is the foundation upon which success is built. It is not merely about acknowledging your mistakes, but about fully embracing the idea that your circumstances, your outcomes, and your future are largely within your control. This is a difficult truth for many, because it forces an individual to confront the reality that excuses are nothing more than self-imposed barriers. The moment you stop blaming external forces, whether it be your upbringing, your environment, or the failures of others, is the moment you reclaim control over your destiny. Many people prefer to see themselves as victims of circumstance. They tell themselves that the world is unfair, that life is stacked against them, that they have been dealt a bad hand. But this perspective, while comforting in the short term, is crippling in the long run. It removes agency. It fosters resentment. It creates a passive approach to life where individuals wait for things to change instead of taking the necessary steps to improve their situation. When you take full responsibility, you recognize that even if something isn't your fault, it is still your problem. Perhaps you were raised in a dysfunctional household. Perhaps you encountered betrayal, loss, or hardship. These experiences are real, and they leave scars, but the question is not whether life has been unfair. The question is what you are going to do about it. Are you going to let misfortune define you? Or are you going to take responsibility for how you respond, how you grow, and how you move forward? The most successful individuals in any field understand that responsibility is not a burden. It is a source of power. It is a source of power. If you attribute your failures to others, you place your ability to change in their hands. But if you take ownership, if you say, I am responsible for my actions, my mindset, and my future, you become the architect of your own success. This is not to say that control is absolute. There will always be elements outside of your influence. Unexpected obstacles, bad luck, the unpredictable nature of life itself. But while you cannot always control what happens to you, you can control how you respond. That response determines whether you remain stuck or whether you rise above. The discipline to take responsibility requires a fundamental shift in thinking. It demands self-honesty, a willingness to admit your own shortcomings, and the courage to confront your own weaknesses. This is uncomfortable because it means looking in the mirror and acknowledging where you have fallen short. It means recognizing where you have failed to act when you should have, where you have let distractions consume your focus, where you have allowed laziness, fear, or doubt to dictate your choices. It is far easier to rationalize failure than to accept it as a result of your own decisions. The mind is adept at crafting justifications. I didn't get the job because the interviewer is biased. Or I lost that opportunity because the system is rigged. I didn't succeed because I didn't have the right connections. But while there may be elements of truth in these statements, they do not change the fundamental reality. If you take responsibility, you will find a way forward. If you do not, you will remain stuck in a cycle of blame and stagnation. There is an empowering clarity that comes with taking full responsibility. It forces you to examine your habits, your routines, your thoughts, and your actions. It pushes you to ask difficult but necessary questions. Am I truly doing everything in my power to improve my situation? Am I maximizing my potential? Am I making excuses instead of making progress? When you begin to take accountability for every aspect of your life, your perspective shifts. Problems become challenges to overcome rather than injustices to lament. Failures become lessons rather than evidence of defeat. The ability to take responsibility is closely tied to discipline. Those who succeed do not wait for external motivation to drive them forward. They do not rely on ideal circumstances. They do what needs to be done, regardless of how they feel in the moment. They recognize that discipline is the bridge between intention and achievement. Without it, potential is wasted and success remains a distant dream. When you take responsibility, you also eliminate entitlement. You stop expecting the world to reward you simply for existing. Neem. You stop waiting for handouts, for luck, for someone to save you. Instead, you create your own opportunities. You understand that the world owes you nothing and that if you want success, you must earn it through relentless effort, intelligent strategy, and unwavering persistence. The process of taking responsibility does not happen overnight. It is a continuous effort requiring constant self-examination and brutal honesty. It requires the strength to acknowledge when you have failed and the resolve to correct course rather than dwell on mistakes. It requires the ability to differentiate between what is within your control and what is not, and the wisdom to focus your energy only on what you can change. Many will resist this mindset because it is far easier to believe that success is determined by luck, privilege, or external circumstances. It is more comfortable to blame something outside of yourself than to confront your own shortcomings. But those who embrace responsibility understand that while the truth may be harsh, it is also liberating. When you stop waiting for the world to change and instead focus on changing yourself, you step into a position of strength. You stop reacting to life and start shaping it. You stop hoping for success and start earning it. Mastering the art of discipline and consistency is one of the most fundamental aspects of success. It is the ability to do what needs to be done, regardless of whether you feel like doing it. Many people chase motivation, believing that they need to be inspired before they can take action. It's action. But the truth is, motivation is fleeting. It comes and goes. Discipline, on the other hand, is permanent. It is the force that allows you to push forward even when inspiration fades, even when circumstances are difficult, even when the process becomes tedious and exhausting. Those who rely on motivation alone rarely accomplish anything meaningful because they are slaves to their emotions. They act when they feel good and stop when they feel resistance. They convince themselves that waiting for the right moment, the right mindset, or the right energy is a justifiable excuse for inaction. But the reality is the most successful individuals do not operate based on how they feel. They operate based on what is necessary. They understand that discipline is the difference between those who dream and those who achieve. Consistency is the natural extension of discipline. Anyone can put in effort for a day. Anyone can work hard when they are excited about a new goal or when they see immediate results. But what happens when the novelty wears off? What happens when progress slows down and the work becomes monotonous? This is where most people quit. They abandon their efforts because they believe that lack of immediate reward means failure. But those who truly succeed understand that success is not about explosive bursts of effort. It is about sustained, repeated actions over long periods of time. There is an undeniable power in repetition. When you commit to doing something every single day, regardless of how you feel, you transform yourself into a different person. Small, consistent actions compound over time, leading to massive results. This is true in every aspect of life, whether it is building a business, improving a skill, getting in shape, or mastering a craft. The greatest athletes, entrepreneurs, and leaders are not the ones who occasionally put in effort. They are the ones who show up day after day, refining their process, improving their abilities, and staying committed to their goals even when progress is invisible. The reason most people fail is because they expect results too quickly. They start with enthusiasm, but when they do not see immediate changes, they lose interest. This is the mindset of someone who lacks discipline. True discipline means staying committed to the process even when there is no immediate reward, even when it feels like nothing is happening, even when progress is too slow to notice. The most successful individuals trust the process because they understand that results are not linear. Progress does not happen all at once. It builds gradually, often in ways that are imperceptible until a breakthrough occurs. The biggest enemy of consistency is distraction. We live in a world where instant gratification is constantly available. Social media, entertainment, and endless sources of comfort pull people away from their goals. Discipline requires the ability to resist these distractions, to stay focused on what truly matters, and to delay gratification in pursuit of something greater. Those who lack discipline allow themselves to be derailed by short-term pleasures. But those who succeed understand that true fulfillment comes from long-term achievement, not momentary indulgence. To develop discipline, one must first master the ability to control their own mind. The mind is naturally resistant to discomfort. It seeks the path of least resistance, avoiding difficulty whenever possible. This is why discipline must be consciously cultivated. It is not something that comes naturally. It is something that is built through deliberate effort. This means creating systems, routines, and habits that remove the need for willpower. It means structuring your environment in a way that makes success inevitable. It means setting clear goals, eliminating distractions, and holding yourself accountable for following through, no matter what. Many people believe that discipline is restrictive, that it limits freedom, but the opposite is true. Discipline is what creates freedom. The more disciplined you are, the more control you have over your life. If you lack discipline, you become a prisoner to your impulses. You eat whatever you crave, you waste time on distractions, you procrastinate on important work, and you never build anything meaningful. But if you have discipline, you have the ability to shape your future exactly how you want it. You control your habits, your routines, and ultimately your success. There is no shortcut to building discipline. It is a process that requires discomfort. It means waking up early when you want to sleep in. It means working when you feel exhausted. It means saying no to distractions when your mind craves escape. But over time, what was once difficult becomes second nature. Habits are formed and discipline transforms into an automatic response. What once required effort becomes effortless. Most people avoid discipline because it is hard. They choose comfort over growth, ease over challenge, pleasure over purpose. But those who are willing to endure short-term difficulty in exchange for long-term success are the ones who rise above the rest. They are the ones who understand that discipline is not a punishment. It is the price of greatness. Prioritizing meaning over immediate pleasure is a fundamental principle that separates those who live with purpose from those who drift aimlessly through life. The pursuit of pleasure is easy. It is readily available, instantly gratifying, and requires little effort. But meaning is different. Meaning demands sacrifice, discipline, and a willingness to endure hardship. It is not something that can be obtained in a moment. It is built through a lifetime of intentional action, responsibility, and deep engagement with the world. Modern society is structured to prioritize pleasure. Everywhere you look, there are distractions designed to provide instant gratification. Social media, entertainment, processed foods, and mindless consumption offer temporary relief from discomfort, boredom, or stress. But these things do not create fulfillment. They create dependency. They offer momentary escape at the cost of long-term satisfaction. The more one indulges in fleeting pleasures, the harder it becomes to find meaning in the things that truly matter. The difference between pleasure and meaning is stark. Pleasure is passive. It happens to you. It requires no commitment, no effort, no sacrifice. It is immediate but shallow, offering a temporary high that quickly fades, leaving you empty and craving more. Meaning, on the other hand, is active. It requires deep investment. It demands struggle. It forces you to confront challenges and push through discomfort. But unlike pleasure, meaning has depth, provides a sense of purpose that grows stronger with time. People who prioritize meaning understand that the most valuable things in life come at a cost. Building a strong relationship requires effort, patience, and compromise. Developing a skill demands years of practice, frustration, and failure. Pursuing a worthwhile goal means sacrificing short-term comforts in favor of long-term achievement. There is no shortcut to a meaningful life. It is built through intentional choices repeated consistently over time. One of the most common traps people fall into is mistaking pleasure for happiness. They assume that if something feels good, it must be good. But happiness is not the result of indulging in whatever is easiest or most pleasurable. True happiness comes from having a purpose, from engaging in meaningful work, from knowing that your actions contribute to something greater than yourself. People who prioritize pleasure over meaning often find themselves unfulfilled, constantly chasing the next distraction, never satisfied with what they have. There is a reason why those who seek meaning are often the ones who achieve greatness. They are willing to endure difficulty in pursuit of something valuable. They understand that short-term discomfort is a necessary part of long-term success. When others give up because the process is too hard, they persist. When others seek comfort, they seek growth. When others avoid struggle, they embrace it as a necessary step towards something greater. Choosing meaning over pleasure is not easy because it requires sacrifice. It means delaying gratification. It means resisting the temptation to take the easy path. It means making choices that do not provide immediate rewards, but will lead to a deeper sense of fulfillment in the future. It requires the ability to think long-term, to see beyond the momentary discomfort, and to recognize that true success and purpose are built over time, not handed out freely. Many people resist this mindset because it demands personal responsibility. It forces them to acknowledge that their choices determine their future. It eliminates the excuse that life is unfair, that success is only for the lucky, that happiness is something that just happens rather than something that is earned. It is far easier to blame external circumstances than to take responsibility for finding meaning in one's own life. But those who take ownership of their decisions, who consciously seek out purpose rather than distractions, are the ones who ultimately succeed. A meaningful life is not something that can be given to you. It is something that must be created through effort, discipline, and commitment. It requires the ability to endure difficulty without losing sight of the bigger picture. It demands the strength to resist comfort in favor of challenge, to reject fleeting pleasures in pursuit of something lasting, to stay focused on a vision even when the path is unclear. Those who prioritize meaning over pleasure understand that success is not an accident. It is the result of small, meaningful choices made consistently over time. It is the outcome of choosing growth over stagnation, discipline over indulgence, purpose over distraction. It is the ability to withstand the discomfort that comes with real achievement, knowing that in the end, it leads to something far greater than momentary pleasure ever could. Surrounding yourself with people who elevate you is one of the most powerful choices you can make in life. The individuals you spend the most time with influence your mindset, your habits, and ultimately, your future. It is often said that you are the average of the 5 people you interact with most frequently. And this statement holds a great deal of truth. Whether consciously or unconsciously, people adopt the behaviors, beliefs, and attitudes of those around them. This is why it is crucial to be intentional about who you allow into your life. Many people fail to recognize the impact of their environment. They remain in circles that encourage mediocrity, negativity, or complacency without realizing how much it is holding them back. It is easy to stay comfortable among people who do not challenge you, who validate your excuses, who make you feel accepted but do not push you to grow. But comfort is not the goal. Growth is. And growth requires surrounding yourself with individuals who demand more from you, who inspire you, who set a standard that forces you to elevate your thinking and actions. The people who elevate you are those who embody the qualities you strive to develop. They are disciplined, focused, and purpose-driven. They refuse to indulge in self-pity or victimhood. They hold themselves accountable, take responsibility for their actions, and pursue excellence in whatever they do. Being around such individuals shifts your perspective. It makes you realize what is possible. It forces you to step up, to raise your standards, to abandon the habits and mindsets that keep you stuck. On the other hand, spending time with people who lack ambition, who constantly complain, who settle for less than they are capable of achieving will inevitably pull you down. Negativity is contagious. Mediocrity is contagious. When you are surrounded by those who make excuses, who blame others for their failures, who do not strive for improvement, it becomes increasingly difficult to maintain a mindset of growth. It takes a conscious effort to separate yourself from such influences, but it is necessary if you want to reach your full potential. One of the most difficult but essential aspects of personal growth is learning to distance yourself from relationships that no longer serve you. This does not mean cutting people off with bitterness or resentment. It means recognizing when certain relationships are limiting your progress and having the courage to step away. Now, some people will try to hold you back, not because they actively wish to harm you, but because your growth challenges their own sense of identity. When you begin to pursue something greater, it forces those around you to confront their own choices. Some will support you, others will resist. It is important to seek out individuals who challenge you intellectually, who encourage you to think bigger, who introduce you to new perspectives and opportunities. These are the people who push you out of your comfort zone, who demand that you hold yourself to a higher standard, who do not let you settle for less than your potential. They are not afraid to call you out when you make excuses. They are not interested in shallow validation, but in genuine progress. Finding such people requires effort. It means placing yourself in environments where growth-oriented individuals gather. It means engaging in meaningful conversations, seeking mentorship, and being willing to learn from those who have achieved what you aspire to achieve. What you aspire to achieve. It also means being the kind of person who attracts high-quality relationships. People who elevate others are drawn to those who exhibit discipline, integrity, and a strong work ethic. If you want to be around great people, you must first strive to become great yourself. A powerful shift occurs when you are surrounded by individuals who are constantly striving for excellence. Their habits, their energy, and their standards become the norm. What once seemed impossible now feels attainable. Their presence forces you to level up, to eliminate self-doubt, to push beyond what you thought you were capable of achieving. The right relationships make success feel inevitable because they create an environment where growth is the only acceptable outcome. It is crucial to be selective with your inner circle. Not everyone deserves access to your time, energy, or attention. Protecting your mindset means being intentional about who you allow into your space. This does not mean looking down on others, but recognizing that your future is too important to be influenced by those who do not share your commitment to excellence. Surrounding yourself with people who elevate you is not just about success. It is about becoming the best version of yourself. Embracing adversity as a tool for growth is one of the most powerful mindsets a person can adopt. Most people view adversity as something to be avoided, something that disrupts comfort and stability. They see challenges as unfair obstacles, as punishments, as reasons to quit. But those who achieve true success understand that adversity is not an enemy. It is a teacher. It is through struggle that people develop strength, resilience, and wisdom. Without adversity, there is no growth. Without difficulty, there is no transformation. Life is unpredictable. No matter how much effort one puts into planning, there will always be setbacks, disappointments, and failures. Some people allow these difficulties to defeat them. They internalize hardship as evidence that they are not meant to succeed. They use it as an excuse to give up, to lower their ambitions, to retreat into a life of mediocrity. But others see adversity for what it truly is, an opportunity. They understand that struggle is the very thing that forges greatness. They do not seek out hardship, but when it comes, they do not run from it. They embrace it. They learn from it. They use it to become stronger. The most successful individuals in any field have faced immense adversity. The greatest athletes have lost crucial games, suffered injuries, and endured relentless criticism. The most accomplished entrepreneurs have faced bankruptcy, rejection, and failure countless times before achieving success. The most influential leaders have experienced betrayal, doubt, and moments of despair. What separates them from the average person is not that they avoided hardship, but that they used it to propel themselves forward. They refused to let difficulty break them. Instead, they let it refine them. Adversity has a way of revealing a person's true character. When everything is going well, it is easy to appear strong, disciplined, and motivated. But when challenges arise, when things do not go as planned, that is when a person's mindset is truly tested. Those who are weak-minded crumble under pressure. They complain, they blame others, they seek the easiest way out. But those who are strong use adversity as fuel. They see setbacks as temporary, as lessons to be studied, as opportunities to grow in ways they never could have without hardship. One of the greatest lessons adversity teaches is the importance of persistence. Most people fail not because they are incapable, but because they give up too soon. They mistake temporary struggle for permanent failure. They assume that just because something is difficult, it is not meant for them. But those who persist, those who refuse to quit, even when everything seems to be against them, are the ones who ultimately succeed. They understand that adversity is not a sign to stop. It is a sign to keep going. Difficult moments force people to adapt, to think differently, to develop new skills. When faced with a problem, one has two choices: to be defeated by it or to find a way through it. The second option requires creativity, resilience, and a willingness to step outside of one's comfort zone. Many of the greatest innovations, breakthroughs, and achievements in history were born out of struggle. Adversity forces people to become more than they were before. It challenges them to rise to the occasion, to discover strengths they did not know they had. The ability to embrace adversity is a mindset that must be cultivated. It requires shifting the way one views challenges, not as unfair burdens, but as necessary tests. It means understanding that without resistance, there is no progress. Just as a muscle grows through stress and strain, a person grows through struggle and perseverance. Comfort never produces strength. Ease never builds resilience. It is only through hardship that true greatness is forged. Fear of adversity is one of the greatest limitations a person can have. Those who fear difficulty remain stagnant. They never take risks, never chase their goals, never push beyond what is familiar. They stay within the boundaries of what is safe and easy, never realizing that by avoiding hardship, they are also avoiding growth. But those who embrace adversity, who lean into challenges rather than run from them, develop an unshakable confidence. They know that no matter what obstacles arise, they have the ability to overcome them. When a person adopts this mindset, adversity no longer feels like a threat. It becomes a necessary part of the journey. It becomes something to be welcomed rather than feared. It becomes a tool that sharpens, strengthens, and transforms. Those who understand this principle do not seek a life of comfort and ease. They seek a life of growth, of impact, of mastery. And they know that the only way to achieve that is by embracing every challenge that comes their way. Developing unshakable self-discipline is one of the most critical factors in achieving success. It is the foundation upon which all great accomplishments are built. Without discipline, talent is wasted, potential is never realized, and dreams remain unfulfilled. Many people rely on motivation to push them forward, but motivation is unreliable. It fluctuates. It is influenced by emotions, circumstances, and external factors. Discipline, on the other hand, is steady. It does not depend on feelings or inspiration. It is the ability to take consistent action regardless of mood, distractions, or temporary discomfort. Most people struggle with discipline because they prioritize what is easy over what is necessary. They give in to impulses, distractions, and short-term gratification. They allow procrastination to steal their time and bad habits to dictate their actions. But those who achieve greatness understand that discipline is the price of success. They do not wait until they feel like doing something, feel like do it because it must be done. They have trained themselves to act even when they are tired, unmotivated, or tempted to quit. Discipline is not something people are born with. It is developed through repeated choices, through consistent effort, through refusing to give in to excuses. It is like a muscle. The more it is used, the stronger it becomes. But just like a muscle, it can also weaken if not exercised. Every time a person chooses discipline over comfort, they reinforce the habit of taking control over their actions. Every time they give in to laziness or distraction, they make it easier to fall into patterns of inconsistency and failure. One of the biggest misconceptions about discipline is that it requires extreme willpower. In reality, willpower alone is not enough. It fades over time, especially when faced with temptation or fatigue. What truly sustains discipline is structure and routine. Successful individuals build systems that make discipline automatic. They remove unnecessary decisions by creating habits that eliminate the need for constant self-control. They wake up at the same time every day, follow set routines, and minimize distractions. They make discipline a lifestyle rather than something they struggle with moment to moment. Another key aspect of self-discipline is learning to delay gratification. The ability to sacrifice short-term pleasure for long-term success is what separates the highly disciplined from those who constantly give in to temptation. Most people fail because they seek immediate rewards. They choose comfort over growth, entertainment over education, indulgence over health, and ease over effort. But discipline teaches the value of patience, of working towards something greater, of enduring discomfort today for a better future tomorrow. Many people struggle with discipline because they set unrealistic expectations. They believe they must be perfect, that they must always feel strong and motivated, that they should never make mistakes. But discipline is not about perfection. It is about consistency. It is about consistency. It is about showing up every day, even if progress is slow, even if mistakes are made along the way. Those who succeed are not those who never fail, but those who refuse to let failure stop them. They get back on track quickly without self-pity or excuses. Self-discipline is also strengthened by having a clear purpose. When a person knows exactly what they are working toward and why it matters, discipline becomes easier. Without purpose, it is easy to become distracted, to lose focus, to let obstacles become excuses. But when a person is deeply committed to a vision, when they have a compelling reason to stay disciplined, they find ways to push through difficulty. They remind themselves of their goals daily. They do not allow distractions to derail them. They stay locked in, focused, and committed. Another critical element of discipline is accountability. Those who are truly disciplined do not rely solely on themselves to stay on track. They create systems of accountability that keep them responsible. They set deadlines, track progress, and surround themselves with individuals who push them to be better. They do not hide from challenges or avoid feedback. Instead, they seek out environments that reinforce discipline, that make it easier to stay committed, that remove the temptation to drift into complacency. Developing self-discipline also requires a shift in identity. Instead of viewing discipline as something external, as something that must be forced, successful people integrate it into their self-concept. They see themselves as disciplined individuals, as people who do what must be done, as individuals who take control of their actions. When discipline becomes part of a person's identity, they no longer struggle with it. It becomes who they are. People often say they lack discipline, but the truth is they have simply trained themselves in the opposite direction. They have conditioned themselves to seek the path of least resistance, to avoid discomfort, to make excuses. But just as they have trained themselves to be inconsistent, they can train themselves to be disciplined. It starts with small daily actions, with choosing to follow through on commitments, with resisting the urge to give in to distractions. Over time, these choices accumulate, turning discipline into an unshakable habit, a core part of one's character, and a tool that leads to lasting success.